What's the most unfair thing that happened to you at school? Our principal required students to verbally thank every staff member who provided any service or lose privileges related to that service. At first, it seemed easy enough, just say thanks and move on. But Principal Sanford monitored this religiously through staff reports. The janitor actually carried a clipboard where he'd mark down which students thanked him for mopping. The librarian would revoke computer access if you forgot to thank her for literally just sitting at her desk while you checked out your own books using the automated system. The worst was having to thank the security guard for searching our backpacks every morning. "Thank you for violating my privacy," we'd all say, before Sanford decided sarcasm didn't count. One kid forgot to thank him sincerely and couldn't enter the building for 3 days until his parents threatened to call the news. The security guard just stood there each morning, waiting for his mandatory gratitude like some kind of praise vampire. I'd gotten pretty good at the routine. Thank the bus driver, thank the security guard, thank the attendance lady for marking me present, thank the janitor for existing, thank the cafeteria ladies for slopping mystery meat onto my tray. It was degrading but manageable. I'd even trained myself to thank people in my sleep when the nurse took my temperature during a fever check. She actually woke me up to make sure I said it clearly enough for her records. My friend had lost bathroom privileges for a month after forgetting to thank the janitor during her period. She bled through her pants in algebra because she couldn't access the bathroom, and the school's response was that she should have been more grateful. Another kid lost library access during finals week and failed his research paper. The principal called it a life lesson in appreciation. I woke up with strep throat one Monday morning, the kind where your throat feels like you've been gargling broken glass. My mom wanted to keep me home, but I had a chemistry final I couldn't miss. She gave me antibiotics and sent me with a note explaining I'd lost my voice completely. I could only communicate through gestures and wheezing. I managed to croak out a barely audible thanks to the bus driver and security guard, sounding like a dying frog. They accepted it, probably out of pity. The attendance lady let me just wave, but when I got to lunch, holding my tray out for food, I opened my mouth and nothing came out, not even a whisper. The cafeteria lady, Mrs. Turner, stood there with her ladle suspended over my tray, waiting. I pointed to my throat. I showed her my doctor's note. I mouthed thank you as dramatically as possible. I even did a little bow of gratitude. Nothing worked. She pulled the tray away and pointed to the sign, "Verbal thanks required." I wrote thank you on my hand and showed her. She shook her head. I tried to make any sound at all, but my throat was so swollen that only air came out. The security guard came over and escorted me out of the cafeteria, saying I was refusing to comply with gratitude requirements. I spent the rest of the week buying bags of chips from the vending machine with my last $10, but by Thursday, even those were gone. I couldn't bring lunch from home because we didn't have any food at home. That's why I needed the free lunch program. By Friday, I was so lightheaded from not eating that I could barely see straight. During my chemistry final, the room started spinning. The periodic table on the wall looked like it was melting. I remember thinking the multiple choice bubbles were dancing around the page, and then I hit the floor face first, breaking my nose on the way down. Blood everywhere, complete chaos, and the school nurse yelling at everyone to give me space. I woke up in the hospital with an IV in my arm, and my mom crying beside the bed. The doctor said I'd passed out from malnutrition combined with dehydration, and that I was lucky I didn't crack my skull when I fell. My nose was broken, and I had a concussion from hitting the floor. My mom had already called a lawyer about suing the school for denying me food access. Principal Sanford showed up in my hospital room with a clipboard and that same fake sympathetic face they all did. "I understand you've had a medical incident," he said, "but I need to inform you that you failed to thank Nurse Stevens when she administered first aid after your fall. That's automatic suspension from health services at school." He actually pulled out another form. "Also, you'll need to thank the janitor for cleaning up your blood, or you'll lose building access privileges when you return." My mom stood up so fast her chair fell over. "Are you seriously here to punish my hospitalized child for not thanking people while unconscious?" "The rule exists to teach gratitude," Principal Sanford said, still holding his clipboard. "No exceptions, even for medical emergencies. Speaking of which," he turned to me, "you'll need to thank me for this visit or lose administrative access, meaning you can't appeal any of these decisions." I stared at Principal Sanford standing there with his clipboard while my broken nose throbbed and the room spun slightly from the concussion. Something inside me cracked like ice breaking on a frozen pond. My mom's hand grabbed mine so hard I felt her nails dig into my skin. I tried to push myself up in the hospital bed, but the pain meds made everything feel like I was moving through thick syrup. The IV tube pulled tight against my arm. Sanford just stood there waiting with his pen ready. Mom shot up from her chair and pointed at the door. She told him to get out right now or she'd call security herself. Her voice shook with rage. Sanford started saying something about school policy being clear, but Mom was already hitting the red nurse call button over and over. She yelled for someone to remove this man from her child's room immediately. 2 nurses rushed in looking confused. Mom pointed at Sanford and said he was harassing her injured child. The nurses looked at each other and then